little known historic places in the entire world. In the hills of the San Francisco Peninsula. This is a preserved pioneer era general store. Welcome to the Something or Other tour. Welcome to the Something or Other tour. We're in Woodside, California, and this is the historic Woodside Store. The Woodside Store originally opened up in 1853 on this site. Like many Wild West and pioneer stories, it burned down and it was rebuilt in 1854, and this is the original building. It was a general store, a post office, a dentist office, and a general social hub for the pioneers in these mountains. Woodside, California is located about halfway down the San Francisco Peninsula, in between San Francisco and San Jose. And directly after the gold rush, this area was very, very important to building the West. The Woodside Store has been a museum since 1947, and it's a state registered landmark right here, built in 1854 among sawmills and redwood groves. This is one of the best preserved examples of California's gold rush in the Wild West. It's right up there with Bodie in my eyes. There's still ponies walking by 160, 170 years later. And just like the old days, the Woodside Store is open for visitors. Pretty limited hours though, they do rely on volunteers. Hey, so what do you sell here, my good man? Why, this is a general store. All right, fair enough. Give me 3 generals, bag them up, bring them out to my wagon. Huh? Love the sound of these creaking old floors. And of course, what's cool about the Woodside Store, they put all these, time period products and stuff on the shelf so you can kind of see what it would look like back in the 1880s. Around 1848, Dr. Robert Tripp and a business partner, M.A. Parkhurst, came to this area. So when gold was discovered in 1848, people flooded Northern California in search for fortune and opportunity. So it wasn't just the gold miners, it was the people with different trades, different services they could offer. So they would help facilitate those industries that started to boom, including the gold mining industry. When you want to build stuff, you need lumber. San Francisco, being the closest major city, had exponential growth. San Francisco didn't have a whole lot of lumber available, so they looked down the peninsula towards the hills like this of Woodside, and the lumber industry boomed.
Parkhurst started making shingles from a small camp on the land he bought in 1849 with his partners, an alleged drunkard named Ellis, a Mexican war veteran named Grizzly Ryder, and Dr. Robert Orville Tripp.
This area was perfect. You could take the lumber right down the hill out to Redwood Creek, which led into the bay, and you could float the lumber right up to San Francisco. But you could take it to Oakland, anywhere around the Bay Area. They would literally drag the lumber down the hill. They put little skids, planks of wood, and then there was grease monkeys, usually young guys with buckets of grease, and they would go in between the oxen and grease all those skids so that the lumber that the oxen were pulling could slide down. These skids right here would get greased up. A couple grease monkeys right here. And they would take it right down Woodside Road, right past the historic Union Cemetery that I've done some videos at. Well worth the watch if you like pioneer history. So there was a giant lumber industry that popped up almost overnight in these hills. And much like the gold rush, that brings opportunity, not just for the people gathering the lumber. These industries piggyback off each other. So the lumber industry piggybacked off the growth from the gold rush. And then you need service, right? And when Dr. Tripp arrived, I guess he didn't want to cut down trees. He didn't want to pan for gold. Him and his business partner, M.A. Parkhurst, they opened up this store right on one of the main trails from the woods down to what is now Redwood City. And this became a hub for the area, for the lumbermen here. From back here, Dr. Tripp would sell his wares. Parkhurst and Tripp opened up this store right on the main trail, Kings Mountain Road. They could supply goods like this store. Dr. Tripp was a dentist. Those lumbermen need their teeth pulled occasionally. There was even a post office here. Little cubbies, pick up your mail. You break an axe handle, you gotta get a new axe handle. You want wine? You gotta get some wine. You gotta have a good time. You need some corn. Look at this safe. There was also stagecoach services that went up all the trails. So this was a stagecoach stop. People could come in, get something to drink, or pick up anything they needed, check the post office, get a tooth pulled, I don't know.
For a time, the Woodside Store was the only emporium and stagecoach stop between San Francisco and Santa Clara.
All the pioneers, all the lumber industry workers, all the rough and rowdy folks, this is where they had to stop. This was a hub on that trail. This is where you had to resupply, you had to rest a little bit. This is the last significant and intact structure that represents the once booming lumber business in these hills, which is, as far as I know, completely gone. But it was this lumber business that helped build San Francisco, helped build the Bay Area. We don't sell generals. Like, what does that even mean? Like, leaders of soldiers? What do you tell me? You're the one working here. Right behind the counter here in the storefront, you go back to this first room. This is where they sold like heavier stuff, you know? They had big tools, bags of goods, you know? Probably grain, spices, sugar. So this is where the pioneers in the area will get their molasses, or their vinegar, you know? Or their axe handles. And you could guess that the lumbermen and the timber guys, there's some trappers, some fur trapping. And back in those days, there were still grizzly bears in these hills. Not anymore. Look at this axe. You could get your nails, your rope, your shovels, your spider webs. The back room here is now set up so they can do classrooms. A lot of students come here on field trips and such. But back in the day, it was most likely a storage room. That's why it has the big double doors. All right, open up these big double doors. I don't think these doors are original. Dr. Tripp could go up to San Francisco, resupply, fill up his wagon, bring it down here, load it into the storage area. A lot of kids come here. They do workshops and classes, field trips, which is a bummer because I grew up down the hill and I didn't even know about this place. So the gold rush grew, San Francisco became the major city in the area, and it needed lumber to build up. So all the people and services that came through this building helped build San Francisco and Northern California during the gold rush. And that once thriving industry just doesn't exist anymore, and this is one of the only remnants of that history. Redwood Creek fed into the bay. Redwood Creek is why Redwood City came about. It was a port town. There's still a Redwood City port, and that's why on the peninsula, Redwood City was the county seat of San Mateo County eventually. And it has some of the deepest history on the peninsula for that reason, because it was a port. One of the volunteer docents likes to be silly, and they put a mannequin up in the window up there. They have this covered garage area. They probably stored a wagon here. Maybe even serviced wagons here, I don't know. Well, someone's still chopping wood. Timber industry may have died, but there's still some holdouts. Dr. Tripp wasn't a blacksmith, but at one point they opened this blacksmith shop disattached from the original general store building. So many cool tools, the anvil, giant bellow. I love the old lanterns. You got the blacksmith shop, got the little wagon stall, hardware, post office, a general store at the front over there. Throughout the years, a lot of hooligans have carved their names into this. It says 77. It's about the time my mom was a teenager, so luckily it's not her initials, so she's not in trouble. I love the Black Bart Wanted poster. If you guys haven't seen it, I did a video at Copperopolis and I tell the story of Black Bart. Apparently this pole goes to the attic and that's where they would handcuff people if they got rowdy until the sheriff could get here. We sell a little bit of everything. I mean, the basics. Fine, I need 2 bananas, a spool of magenta thread, 9 pumpkin seeds, and a 1991 Ford Tempo sedan in cherry red. What planet are you from? Thought you had everything. They still had a portrait of Dr. Tripp up there. Dr. Tripp was a dentist. Right past the counter in this back room, you could get some teeth extracted. So he would have the storefront out here. He had some bigger products and goods back here. He had his dentist office back here. You could get that, that molar checked out that's been bugging you out on the trail. Here's Dr. Tripp's actual desk. How cool. Most of the building is wood, but there is a brick fireplace right here in this back room. When Dr. Tripp pulled teeth, he would toss them into a spittoon down there. But apparently some of them missed because when they did a restoration of this place, they found old teeth under the floorboards. And this was even the library for a while for the area. A.M.A. Parkhurst was a charter member of the library in this area, which is one of the reasons it ended up here in this store for a while. When Parkhurst died in 1863, at just the age of 34, Dr. Tripp and his family ran the Woodside Store until about 1909. Dr. Tripp also grew wine right across the street from here, and apparently they would give out shots of whiskey to some of their customers and shots of whiskey for when he did dental extractions, which is a little funny because at one point he helped build the nearby Temperance Hall, which was in response to the wild and rowdy Whiskey Hill right down the road where the Pioneer Hotel is. They had quite a reputation of drinking, philandering, and having a good time apparently. And that Pioneer Hotel, the facade of which is still up right down the road in Woodside, became the central hub of the Woodside area, these hills, because Dr. Tripp and his family didn't want to sell any land around the Woodside store that they owned. So people were like, well, you won't let us build anything here, you won't let us build up this area, so we'll just go down the road to Whiskey Hill and build up around the Pioneer Hotel. The Tripps lived on property right across the road from here. Maybe if they gave some of it up, this could have been the Woodside hub. Instead, now it's over at Whiskey Hill. Whiskey Hill was aptly named, so there was a whole bunch of saloons, whole bunch of rowdiness. It was a wild place. And there's still not a lot there to this day. It's small town vibe, just one little strip, some cool places to eat, the wonderful deli. I'd like to do a Woodside history video covering more of the town itself, because there's some other cool tidbits of history. Of course, this is my favorite part of it. So it's kind of funny that Dr. Tripp supported the temperance movement, which was a movement against the evils of the drink, the evil spirits, while also giving out shots of whiskey to some of his customers and to his dental patients. This is just so awesome. Today you can still come to the counter. I got some candy for sale. I got some cool gifts and souvenirs here. And my favorite thing is this old cash register. And what's cool about this place is like a living museum. You can walk behind the counter, walk through everywhere. You can go see the dentist office. You can actually buy some candy and relive the Pioneer days. All right, fine. Do you have any X-Men comics? You're not getting this at all. It's the Wild West. I'm not. I don't get it. So this became the main stop on the trail from the forest that sustained the lumber industry down to the port, which connected this to San Francisco. So much of early San Francisco basically came through the Woodside Store. Now, a lot of that probably burned down in the 1906 earthquake, but this still helped build San Francisco and the Bay Area. Eventually, the lumber industry started to dwindle, started to die off, decline. So they shifted their focus to, farmers and other people that lived in the area. It's been preserved, it's now a museum, and it's outfitted and staffed by the County Historical Association. This is one of the only places you can get an authentic feel of an old Pioneer general store. The smells, creaking floors, This is where Dr. Tripp built and lived out his pioneer dream. To this day, there's huge estates here. I believe Steve Jobs had a giant estate in this area. A lot of the most famous tech giants you know from the Silicon Valley have big estates in Woodside or the surrounding hills. That's all, folks. Closing up shop. I grew up in Redwood City, right down that trail that they used to take the lumber down, and I didn't know about this place until somewhat recently, as a grown man. So if you're from the area, come on by, check this out. Drop a donation, because this place is awesome, and I think it's completely underrated, hidden gem. Not enough people know about it. It's served by volunteers. And whenever I'm hearing people coming in that live in this area, and they're like, I've never been in here. I live down the street, never been in here. I talk to people from Redwood City that I grew up with. Like, you ever heard of the Woodside Store? They're like, no, what's that? As a kid, I didn't go to Woodside very much. Occasionally, come up to the deli. Although I did go to Woodside High School, but it almost doesn't feel like Woodside because it's on the other side of the freeway. Let me get 3 scoops of vanilla. All right, you're gonna have to leave or I'm gonna get the sheriff. That's it. Get them done howling around with you. If you enjoy this, I have other history videos. Check the history playlist. If you're from the area, check the Union Cemetery video. It's one of my favorites. I was a special guest speaker at a Union Cemetery private event because of that video. So it's been really cool for me to be a part of that, which then led to a magazine article being written about us. Just a huge honor, and I'm glad I get to help tell the story and preserve this history in some way. And I hope you guys enjoy the way I present it. I'm a little silly and try to have fun with it, but you know, I hope you guys appreciate it. So that's it for the Woodside Store, right here in Woodside, California. One of the coolest places you could ever stop and check out. I mean, are we talking full-blown Wild West general store? Like, subscribe, share, do all the cool things that cool kids do. Something or other tour, Vertlife. Place is so cool, man. I've wanted to do a video here for quite a while. I was hoping to do something in an official capacity at some point. It kind of fell through. It's been a year and a half since I heard anything, so I had to come by, check it out, see what's going on. I mean, are we docking general stores here or what?